Hi, welcome to Inktober Day 7. Today's nebula actually isn't a nebula, it's the Spiral Galaxy. It's based on the actual Milky Way, which we all live in. So, like I said, for stars, not every Space Bath Girl is going to be based off of a specific nebula. Some of them are just space-themed words, but the majority are nebulas. This one I just really wanted to do like an actual vortex. So we have Spiral Galaxy, and this is the end of our first week of Inktober, which is hilarious because we are now at literally the end of October and I'm just getting into week 2 of my series, but that's okay. I knew from the start that it was going to take me, a long time to get through these. I knew I wasn't going to finish it in just 1 month. That was an impossible pipe dream. So it's okay. I'm just happy to get through the first week. It's our first milestone. And so here it is. So this one was somewhat difficult. You'll see as I go on, once I get into the actual painting of the background, that I had a little trouble visualizing the actual spiral itself. I was looking at a reference photo and I kept kind of tracing it in the air, like pantomiming it with my paintbrush and my finger and just kind of trying to really visualize it, but I was so nervous that I was going to completely mess it up and botch it and make it not look like what it was supposed to, because I don't know why. It was just so bizarre. For whatever reason, I just couldn't get my head to like perfectly see the spiral on the paper without it actually being there. And usually I'm pretty good at visualizing things, but this one, it was a challenge. This illustration is another pretty good example of taking what I did last year and just revamping it. So I did do Spiral Galaxy during last year's Inktober, and the design for that Space Girl is pretty much exactly the same as this design. The only difference is I just, made it better. I enhanced it. I made her hair flowy because I wanted it to look like it was really getting wrapped up in those spirals. So I wanted it to really just have a lot of movement to it and have kind of a swirl to her hair also. But other than that, and I just kind of made the pose just a little bit more interesting, not by much though. So this was just a good example of taking something old and just bringing the new in. There was me just tracing what I think was going to be the spiral. The problem with Spiral Galaxies, I think this is where I had a problem. It's not just like one line that starts in the middle and kind of curves in an outward circle. It's 2 lines that meet in the middle but curve outward with each other, and that was the problem, that I really just couldn't visualize that, of having like 2 spirals within each other. I probably could have just done one straight circle spiral and nobody would have really noticed, but that's the perfectionist in me. So what I tried to do was do just an ink wash background and then trace the shape of the spirals in salt to kind of really lighten up that space, because that's what the spiral, or at least for the Milky Way galaxy, that's what it looks like. It's a lot lighter. There's a concentration of stars is what makes that spiral shape. So it's the gravitational pull, to my understanding at least. I could be totally wrong, but my understanding is that it's the way the gravitational pull is, like the orbit of these stars goes in kind of a spiral outward motion. So it's kind of similar to like the asteroid belts, around Saturn that makes Saturn's rings. They're just in that circle shape because of the gravitational pull, but this is a cluster of different solar systems and stars themselves. So it's pretty cool, and it kind of makes you feel very small, knowing that we are just one white dot in the millions of white dots that make up this star spiral. It's very cool. It kind of makes me no longer feel guilty about not being able to finish all of these in time, because in the grand scheme of things, nothing really matters when you're just one person on one patch of dirt on one planet in one solar system amongst trillions of stars and solar systems and galaxies in an ever-expanding universe. So that's where I'm at right now. You can't not paint space-themed illustrations and not contemplate your place in the universe. I don't know. So this was actually the first illustration that I had problems with the tape. So what happened, I don't even actually know what happened, but the tape was ripping the paper. So you'll see here I really had to be careful to not rip the paper off. But yeah, I guess, 1 out of 7 good tape experiences is better than none. And so I actually kept in the quick little snippet of me brushing the salt off of the painting. So normally I edit that out, but this time I kept it in, one, because it was really quick and I literally could just brush the salt off with my hand, but also I cut my finger because one of my little pieces of salt turned out to not be salt. It was a chunk of broken glass. No idea how that happened, no idea where it came from, but that was a really not fun surprise to brush my hand across the painting and then get jabbed with broken glass that was disguising itself as salt. So I did leave that in there, just because, artist problems, random things go wrong, and that happened to just be one that I never would have saw coming. So I guess the lesson there is always double check your salt. I don't know, there's like no way to prevent that because I have no idea where the glass came from. It was just a freak accident. And so, fun fact about this space girl, I just had to go and double check because I wasn't sure, but she's actually our first space girl that has dark hair. All of the other ones either had a color for their hair or just white or gray hair. She actually ends up having black hair. And that's because at the center of the spiral, it's a big concentration of light. So there's a lot of yellow and white there. And so I thought her hair would really pop if it was black. So that's what her hair ends up being. I actually hate painting black hair. And the reason for that is, especially when you're using black ink, it when it dries, you can see every streak, every shape, every brush stroke. It dries very quickly and very inconsistently. So when you're painting hair with black ink, you really have to follow the shape of the hair and make sure you're doing it in proper sections. So that way when it dries, it doesn't look patchy and mix-matched. It looks like consistent hair that, goes together. And now I'm just kind of fluffing out those edges like I've been doing with a couple of the other galaxies. We're just doing some white acrylic ink because it's pretty opaque and blends pretty nicely. And I'm just kind of wetting it, mixing it with some water, and then using a combination of my hand, the paintbrush, and a paper towel to kind of just fluff it out. And that kind of just gets rid of those rough edges, and just makes everything look a little bit more swirly and just a little bit more fluid. So as much as I dislike painting black hair, it gives me the most fun opportunity to use my micron pens to do those hair wispies that I love so much. So I really had such a fun time with this, getting that nice like swirly, flowy hair and just putting all in those little details. I really enjoyed it. It was a nice little bonus. And I haven't been doing the dark eyeliner and eyelashes for all of them because a lot of them have been so soft. Just using a pencil to kind of darken it worked out pretty well, but for this one, because of her hair, I did use the micron to enhance her eye shape. So this is actually the first time I've done this for this series, is I've actually, turned the paper. I haven't done that for any of the other ones before, and it's just because of the way I had to really follow the pattern in her hair to get that shape. It was just a lot easier for me to turn the paper as I needed to, and it also helped me avoid smudging any parts that were still wet or drying. And I should probably do that more often. It would just make things a lot easier for myself to turn the paper, but I keep thinking, it has to be exactly where it's placed so that anybody viewing it doesn't get disoriented, but it's only like a little quick turn, so we'll see. Sometimes I just make things harder on myself than they have to be. And I'm just giving her some swirly spiral Space Girl tattoos. I didn't plan those. These were just kind of on the fly. And you can kind of see me working out in my head where to put them. I should pre-plan them, but that's just something that I really just kind of look at the painting and go, oh, it needs something. Let's throw in some metallic tattoos. And then I kind of just make them up as I go. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And in the picture I had of the Milky Way galaxy, there were red stars, which I thought was really cool. It was just such a cool little pop. So I did some red stars in a nice gel pen. And here are the close-ups. You get to see all that spiral. And here she is, our Spiral Galaxy Space Girl. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you for the next one.